hello and welcome to League of Vloggers. This is Season 4, Episode 7. Tonight our host, as always, Curtis James.
Hey.
Sometimes myself.
Returning co-host.
Yes, returning. And I'm a mostly always co-host, but been busy lately. I'm Chase, a.k.a. Viking Redbeard.
Yeah.
That being said, we can start digging into these matches. We saw 10 matches happen this weekend. Some were better than others.
I love that. That's your that watering hole you keep going back to. That's your new line. Week 6 happened. Just right off the top, quick thing. I'm sure we'll probably discuss them at some time, but we're just going to get out of the way. Cloud9, still undefeated. 12-0, and not even with their 12th win, with their 11th win, they locked in a playoff spot.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't think this has got to be the first time Week 6 has given you a guaranteed playoff spot.
I'm almost sure it is, because I don't think I know no one's been defeated this far into the season.
Yeah, no, this is just absurd. Like, I mean, I know that Cloud9 having a weekend Team Liquid Week 1, like, definitely boosted, like, their chances, like, of making the run. And then everyone else has not looked very good. Cloud9, like, with Sven and Vulcan, like, two of the players last year that I was kind of poo-pooing on because, like, they looked okay. And then they come in this year and they're just looking hot.
Yeah. I mean, so Cloud9 still undefeated. They've got TSM and Golden Guardians next week. If they win both of those, they lock in first place. If they win against TSM and FlyQuest loses their first game to Evil Geniuses, they lock in first place.
Oh, interesting. Very cool.
That is ridiculous. To think they could be 5 games to go and be like, well, we have first. So, Senna Jungle? Like, they can just fucking do whatever they want at that point. Unless they are focused on trying to get the undefeated season, but I think they're more so probably focused on testing their limits. So,
was it LEC last year that they had a 17-1 run by a team?
Okay, so it's happened in the LCS twice, both in 2016 actually. Spring split was Immortals, summer split was TSM.
Okay.
So twice we've seen a 17-1 happen, maybe it was the other way around. I think it was TSM then Immortals. Sorry.
Okay.
But we've seen it happen twice in the LCS, but no one's ever gone 18-0, and no one's even gone 12-0. That loss happened earlier for both those teams, and really no one's been as dominant in their wins, at least in the LCS, as we've seen right now. I'd say G2 was arguably this dominant last year in the LEC. Fnatic did challenge them at times, but never really showed all the way up. I'm interested to see, kind of my last thought on Cloud9 anyway, is their very last game, Game 18, is Team Liquid. And Team Liquid looking better, and we'll head into that right now, but Team Liquid looking better right now, so I think by then this could be a challenge. So we saw our third week with Broxa. We did not see Doublelift this week. He was out with laryngitis, not coronavirus. Rhymes, but not the same. So Doublelift was out. In his place, we saw Tactical. And the team...
Tactical looked better than I've seen Doublelift look for most of this split. And I really hate to say it coming from an Academy player, but he looked so good. Like, his cohesion with the team looked good. I was just like, Doublelift, what are you doing?
So, personally, I think there's a couple things at work here. One, let's try to mentally throw away the Doublelift Senna games. I know it's nearly impossible, but if you do that, okay, he doesn't look quite as bad now.
Sure.
Then also he was playing without Broxa, except for 4 games. Oh, and 2 of those games Broxa had landed like a day and a half before. Okay, so like if we go 2-game sample to 2-game sample, you're still looking at loss to EG and beat Dignitas versus beat TSM and 100 Thieves. Handily. Like they looked pretty good against those 2 teams, although I think there's questions about how those teams played against TL.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's that Doublelift has been looking poor, or the team looked just better progressively and he happened not to be there? Because I'm not sure which of those. I feel like both of those are at play, but I'm not sure which one I think is more at play.
I'm not going to throw the blame all in Doublelift. I think that as an organization, they've looked very disjointed so far this split. This is the first weekend that they've come in and they've looked good. And weirdly enough, it happened to be a week without Doublelift. And Brox is starting to get on his game a little bit more. I don't know. I think that they're going to look good this remaining 3 weeks that we've got left.
Right.
But it's just been a painful journey for them this split. Like I don't know what else to say about them other than they're making the appropriate changes, but at this point it's just a little too late.
Well, I mean, you say too little too late, but those 2 wins rocketed them all the way from tied for second last to third place. Tied for third. Like, I think they have to be thanking Cloud9 and CLG for putting in the best and worst possible performances of teams and keeping everyone else clumped in the middle. Because if Cloud9 wasn't as dominant, there would be, TSM, Dignitas, FlyQuest would possibly have more wins. If CLG wasn't such shit, like, maybe they took a game off of Liquid, or, other teams, not everyone would have gotten a fucking win off of them and shit. So, I think those 2 teams combining made such a compact middle. I mean, it's still compact, because if you look at it, we have Cloud9 12-0, FlyQuest 8-4, and then we've got the 3-way tie at third with 6-6, Immortals, Team Liquid, TSM, 4-way tie at sixth, 5-7 between 100 Thieves, Dignitas, Evil Geniuses, and Golden Guardians, and then CLG at the bottom. Like, they're still only a game away from being fucking tied for, with 4 teams, only one of which will make playoffs. Like, they're still walking a tightrope, but I think the way they looked this week, they're going to make it across this rope.
I'm not saying that they're not going to make playoffs. They'll 100% make playoffs, no problem. It's just like they're not going to get that first place that they're accustomed to. Like,
what happens if Double Lift plays next week and you go 1-1 against CLG and Immortals?
I think they bench him for the rest of the split.
Yeah?
Maybe they trade him to Cloud9 to go ride their bench for a while.
Do you think anyone outside of Cloud9 has the balls to bench a superstar like that, though? Like, I know Cloud9 did it, and they caught so much fucking flack for it. They bench, Sneaky, Jensen, Smoothie at the time, and then Sven Skaren. They benched those four. The only person to get benched was Licorice, who had just come off Rookie of the Split, basically.
Yeah.
Like, can any other team, especially, or particularly Team Liquid, pull that off without getting destroyed?
No. No, they're not going to do it.
You think they should, though? If they were to go 1-1 and like lose to Immortals, beat CLG, you think they should bench DL?
I mean, hopefully him getting some rest this weekend. Hopefully he's getting some rest this weekend.
Yeah.
He comes back next week looking a little bit stronger. Like, I feel like Team Liquid has basically been 1v9 for every player on their team. Like, even Double Lift. Who's their support?
Support is Core JJ.
Yeah. Even DL and Core JJ, like, they've looked disjointed. So the fact that the 2 people, like, more than anyone on the team that should be working together, they're not helping each other out.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing each other any favors, and it's they just have looked so poor.
Right.
But
go ahead.
Sorry. But going into next week, if they look good against CLG should be a softball lob.
Although CJ's been looking better with Pobelter, which we'll get to. I think TL, like, there's been some vocal criticism of Double Lift in the community before this weekend even. He very notably said in an interview, like, Spring Split, it doesn't fucking matter, kind of. Like, there's very, even though he's like, well, it's not that I'm not, he's like, I'm still trying, like, and he makes valid points when he says, people are pointing out, Broxa played more solo queue in 2 days than Double Lift did in a whole week or whatever kind of thing. And Double Lift's like, I never played that much solo queue. And you know what? That's fine. That's totally valid. But I think when you are on a team that's not in a great spot, and I get it. It's so easy to mentally check out because you're like, we fucking won 4 times. We don't have our jungler yet. We'll get it together. It's no big deal. But when that's happening, and then you look and you're like, man, we're near the bottom of the table. Someone who's as furious of a competitor as Double Lift is, and he is, something should snap him back into place. Now with Cloud9, recently they said, fine, fuck y'all, you're benched. And I hope for Double Lift, being out sick, seeing Tactical go 2-0 and get a lot of praise for fucking showing. He died once in the 2 games. Now, granted, TSM 100 Thieves, I don't think 100 Thieves was the biggest test for them. I think TSM did not play the way TSM should play and the way they've played when they've been successful. But I also think Team Liquid outplayed them. I think seeing the way the other 4 people on that fucking team played, the way Tactical slotted in, Double Lift needs to shut up, get down to business, and act the way every other top tier player does. He can't just be like, well, I'm the best because I've always been the best. Well, guess what? Sven is making you look like a fucking joke this season. You've got Core JJ as your support. I don't think anybody's going to argue that Vulcan's better than Core JJ. You've got Impact and Licorice. Like, you can argue one's better than the other or whatever, but one of them has a world fucking championship. You've got Jensen in the mid. One of them has won splits. You know, like, you've got Broxa, another, like, amazing import, and Blabber's still this fucking new hotness, and we've seen that flame out before. Like, you've got all these things, and you as Double Lift definitely don't think you're worse than Sven, so show the fuck up, put in the effort that's necessary, and take your job as seriously as possible. Because I get it, in the past you haven't had to, but right now, if you don't, you're going to be a minor joke in the league for a little while.
Yeah, so putting on my tinfoil hat here for just 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Team Liquid has traditionally done super well in the splits, and then they go to Worlds and they just poop themselves. Like, they go and they historically have done pretty poor.
That's why they got Broxa.
Cloud9, they have up and down splits, and then they get to Worlds and they just destroy. They make it farther than anyone thinks that they should.
Other than this past year, absolutely, you're completely right.
And so maybe TL's like trying to be like, okay, let's pull it back here. let's just sandbag a little bit, and then it's gonna push us to play harder next split.
Okay. So coasting now will make them feel like enough shit that they try hard next split enough to do better at Worlds.
I don't actually believe it, but it's
I love it. I don't believe it either, but I love it.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, we will see when we get to Worlds this year if Cloud9's able to continue to ride this awesome winning streak that they've got. If they can pull that into MSI and then next split, and then like I think that this is a very, very viable Worlds team right now. As long as they just don't lose their mental halfway through the next split.
You're talking Liquid?
Sorry, talking about Cloud9.
Cloud9, okay, yeah.
Like I think as long as they're able to. I want to see Cloud9 go into MSI and just wreck. Like,
I think if Cloud9 shows the fuck up at MSI, and granted, people will question it because LPL's just about to kick off again. LCK is about to take a break, actually, because Corona, unfortunately. Like, people will... Of course, like, the year that, like, an NA team, like, looks legitimate again, you know, and granted, the rest of the league looks like hot trash, so you're still already questioning. Once, like, you go to MSN and be like, well, these leagues, it'll still be questions. If they do well, now if they do poorly, it'll be like, yeah, look how garbage NA is, top to bottom. But if they were to do well, I think that would help NA as a whole, because then all of a sudden everybody in NA will be like, alright, let's fucking get on it, because if we can challenge Cloud9, that means we're able to challenge at Worlds. But that's a big if still. Yeah. But I hope you're right, because I think if they do well now, they do well at MSI, and they just keep improving, and they push... I think this team, more than any other, would hard push themselves by doing well, even if they win. Because I think TL got, like, second, you know, they got to the final, and they got blasted by G2 last year, and they're just like, we're fucking good, we're still dominating NA. And, like, they didn't get any better in the second split. And I think Cloud9, just the impression I get from them as a team is, like, if they don't win it, they'll be like, nope, fuck it, hardcore. We're not going to look at the goddamn sun until, you know, after Worlds. Or even if they do win it, then they'll be looking for ways to improve.
Yeah, no, I think that they are...
with the 90, if you're
wanted
curious.
to check this one out.
Yeah,
I've been
I'm going to end on that one.
No, I think that they're looking really hot right now. You just brought up coronavirus, which makes me Also, a little bit of afraid of how MSI is going to go with some of these travel bans, and
We don't have a date on MSI right now. It looks like it will be delayed because they've said like there's going to be shit with MSI. So I think MSI is going to be delayed. Hopefully, it's not canceled.
Yeah, that would be really unfortunate. Yeah, stupid coronavirus.
Right.
I've been seeing a handful of memes. It's like it's not going to last very long because it wasn't manufactured in China.
Or because it was.
Sorry.
I like that. That's a good one. My favorite coronavirus joke I saw today was someone be like, I keep seeing all these cheap flight prices because of the virus. Well, fuck it. If I'm going to get it, I might as well get it in a 5-star hotel in Venice. I really liked that attitude.
Fucking A, I'm supposed to go to Vegas in like a week.
No, Venice.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying Vegas. I'm hoping that like flight. We still haven't bought our tickets yet, so like we've got hotel and everything else, but we're holding out on tickets, hoping. But
because they'll drop a little.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But sorry. I'm done with Cloud9. They're looking so good.
Yeah.
Hopefully they continue.
Team Liquid though. I mean, we both feel like they're turning around right now. I honestly. I'm going to actually use this opportunity to segue into FlyQuest. Let's talk about them for a bit. But I feel like if TL gets to where it looks like they can get, they will be the second best team in NA. But as of right now, until proven otherwise, that team is FlyQuest, sitting at 8-4, sole possession of that, and they're actually 2 games ahead of everybody else now after beating Dignitas and losing to Cloud9 and taking Cloud9 to 35 minutes, which sounds like a fucking joke, but that's an accomplishment. They took Cloud9 to 35 minutes. Actually, after that game, Cloud9 for the first time, I believe, all season, or all split, their average game time was over 30 minutes because of FlyQuest. So, good on ya.
Yeah, FlyQuest, they're looking pretty darn good. I'm glad that Turtle is on his game this split. Like their whole
Ignar's
team.
smurfing.
Oh yeah,
Ignar's he's just smurfing in the bot lane with Turtle, and it's great because it makes Turtle look so good. It allows him to be aggressive. It unlocks that guy.
Yeah, no, I think that FlyQuest is looking really good. The people that they're losing to consistently are like Cloud9. They lost both of their head-to-heads. And for whatever reason, they lost against a Week 2 TL, which is a little absurd now that I'm looking at it. And then a random EG game. But other than that, like they're consistently beating other middle-of-the-pack teams. And they're just looking good doing it. Like they're not making as many mistakes as they did last year. Last year they kind of ended pretty poorly, but they've come back with resurgence. I have nothing to say bad about FlyQuest right now. I'm hoping that their streak continues. I hope that they are able to secure at least second or third place.
Yeah, I expect them to be top 4 for sure. Honestly, right now, I'd be surprised if they end up outside the top 3, like you're saying. It just seems that their team fighting is pretty darn good, and they don't seem to make the weird decisions that we're seeing out of a lot of the other teams. I mean, that was their game against Dignitas. They got some kills early, and then they just made good decisions throughout the rest of the game. They didn't overplay their hand. Now, granted, they're not good enough to really pressure you the way Cloud9 does right now, but they're better than every other team currently in the fact that they just make a good decision, and then they don't, like, rest on their laurels till you mess up, but they're making good moves, and they realize when something's a bad move most of the time, and they back away from it.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing them. They're not making poor decisions. Like, what I've seen a lot so far this split is when a team gets ahead early, they think that they've got the game in the bag, and then they lose a big team fight, or they lose a handful of objectives after a bad team fight, and then they lose because they were so confident in the fact that they thought that they were going to win.
Yeah.
And FlyQuest has been just punishing people when the other team is getting overly confident against them. And
yeah.
I think that they're just looking so good.
Yeah, I mean, FlyQuest putting it together right now, and I think they're going to continue to do so, barring TL continuing their surge, which I think they will. Yeah. FlyQuest will probably end up in the finals, honestly. I think they're just a consistent enough team that they look even better in a best of 5 against a lot of these teams than they do right now in these best of 1s, because if you're telling me they're going to face up against TSM in a best of 5, I definitely think it's going 5, but I'm giving those 3 to FlyQuest because TSM's going to pull off some Broken Blade stuff and do great. They're also going to, like, hard fuck up 2 games. And then that third game, you're like, all right, even game. Neither team, like, hard carries. Neither team messes up hard, which seems more consistent about their map play. I'm giving it to FlyQuest. They seem to understand the way their team works, and their team works by getting Pyre of Evil ahead, by having Ignarmic great roams and plays, and just building off of that, and they do it very well.
Yeah, no, FlyQuest has continued to surprise me. I'm hoping that things continue to go well for them. I mean, they've got... Like, I'm looking at kind of like these last couple weeks for some of these teams, and I'm like, oh, this is really easy. And then I'm like, well, everyone's got to play some of these hard teams yet.
Yeah.
But FlyQuest has... they've still got EG,
Evil Geniuses,
Immortals, and 100 Thieves, and Golden Guardians. They've got 4 games in which I think that they could pretty handedly win.
Yeah, I think the TSM one's really close. The Immortal one could be close. Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, and EG, I think in descending order there, should be wins for them, though.
Yeah.
That's
kind of where I'm at.
TL will be a real fucking challenge, and TL is last week, so by then maybe we already are looking at TL as being like, yeah, this team's better. But we won't know until we see that face-off, I don't think, either.
Yeah.
So, I think week 9, even though, like, the top slots will be pretty well locked in, I think it's going to be really interesting just from the standpoint that Team Liquid is playing FlyQuest and Cloud9, and I expect those teams to be 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Like, all right, TL, you're heading into playoffs, most likely, if you haven't fucked shit up. You're heading into playoffs. Play your biggest competition for playoffs right now, back-to-back, in best of ones. Give us a preview of if you can, be up to snuff.
Yeah.
I think... I said this actually to Coach Slippy in Discord over this past week, the matches, I think on Sunday, yeah, that TL was looking good, and I said I would not be shocked at all if for the next 2 weeks, not third week because they play each other, that Cloud9 scrims Liquid more than anybody else in the league. I think they'll also be scrimming the crap out of FlyQuest because they've already played FlyQuest for this half now because they just did. I think those 3 teams are going to play each other a lot, and we're just going to see them improve. TSM's probably also going to be getting in. Like, whenever the teams aren't playing Cloud9, they'll be playing, either Liquid and Fly will be playing each other, or TSM would be my guess. Obviously not this week. TSM has Cloud9 and FlyQuest up ahead of them. Actually, let's dig into TSM right now.
Can I have one
you've
more,
got one.
One more tinfoil 3-second?
Ooh, yes, another tinfoil. We need like a jingle for when tinfoil hat section comes up.
What if Double Lift wasn't actually sick this weekend with laryngitis? Maybe this was their way of benching him for a weekend.
Ooh, with no controversy?
Yes, without having to face the backlash. Like, again...
Once again, don't believe it.
No basis.
But...
Don't believe it myself, but just a weird little
If that's true, like... Fucking, if that is the case, and if it's not the case, if you are a, coach, manager, whatever on a team, and you, have a superstar, you're like, we kind of want to bench him for a moment just to, try somebody, and, no shame on anyone involved sort of thing, fucking best play possible is to say,
that's just kind of what my thought was.
I have laryngitis, I couldn't make any calls, I'm not going to be an asset to the team. I'm on the bench this week.
It would be the easiest way to bench a superstar, like you said, with zero repercussions.
That tinfoil hat is probably the most well-formed one you've ever had. Once again, almost definitely not true, but is a genius concept.
Yeah, and that's why tinfoil hat, because...
That's usable. That tinfoil hat is usable.
I'll take it. So, yes, I do want to go to TSM. They are just such feast or famine right now.
They have gone 2-0 or 0-2 every single week, including this week where they lost to TL without their starting AD carry, and CLG, who, granted, did look better this week, now second week with Pobelter in the mid lane, but my god, what is going on with this TSM? They were making an argument to be the third best team. 2-3 weeks ago, I said they were the third best team in this league, and right now... I mean, statistically, I still probably have to say that, but I think after next week, it's going to be Liquid, and they're going to be looking at 4th, 5th.
I just keep seeing the Sejuani Trundle and I'm not a fan. Like, I know that Sejuani is like kind of making a bit of a resurgence, but I think that,
especially with the Sunfire Cape buffs.
yeah, but I just think that there are better options for them, like Rek'Sai. Like, we've been seeing Lee Sin play really well. Like, and I haven't looked at pick bans too closely.
I mean, so they did play Jarvan in their game against CLG, and I think for Jardock that's something more. I would be leaning towards, because with Dardock, I want something aggressive. I want something that can help Broken Blade. Unfortunately, in that game, he went top to help Broken Blade, and it was just like a shit dive.
Yeah, he ended up losing.
Or no, I'm thinking of a different game. So I can't think of what he did in that game. I don't know, but I just like the Jarvan never got ahead, and Jarvan needs to like get people ahead in that game. I know we saw against TL, like TSM kind of. They weren't getting the focus they wanted on lane, so they backed into taking dragons. And I know TSM has said straight out as a philosophy, they think dragons are not better than taking early gold, like getting plates and herald and stuff. So, I mean, what do you think of TSM right now as a whole? Not even just week 6, but like as a whole where they are.
Like I said, they're feast or famine right now. The games that they show up for, they look pretty okay. But when they're losing against, like, CLG, and I guess the CLG loss was devastating to them. Like, there's no reason why they should have lost that game with the team that they've got built right now. Like, they've got good players. They should be outpacing CLG, especially with how much they've been floundering. Mm-hmm. But they gave a win to CLG. Like, why?
I mean, I think Broken Blade has looked like the best player on this team, along with Dardock. I respect what they're doing with Kabe and Bio, like having them be a passive lane down bot. I think that works pretty well. I feel like Bjergsen's trying to be a team player and make plays across the map, but I don't feel he's roaming as well as he did, say, 2 years ago. Or, I mean, obviously, I think the mark in the league right now for a roaming helpful mid is Niski, like, far and away, and I don't feel like he's showing up that way. And we saw in the game, like you said, against CLG, like, Pobelter he was on Victor, and he's like, well, if you let me get a lot of AP, I'm just gonna fucking nuke people. And, like, granted, Zoe can do that too, but as a team, it felt like CLG was playing around Victor and Rumble better than TSM was playing around Zoe and Mordekaiser. And it was really, I don't know, it was just weird to see the way TSM played that game, because you would think they could just out-aggression CLG, but they really seemed hesitant to do so.
Yeah, I mean, Wiggly played better this weekend than I've seen him play the rest of the split.
I absolutely agree. I think he's looked pretty weak, all things considered, up until this week. Do you think Pobelter has something to do with that? Like, Pobelter versus Crown, anyway?
It's absurd to think that, but yes, I do think so. Crown being former world champion. Pobelter, not so much. Like, I mean, Pobelter's had his ups and downs these last couple of years, but like
he's been on a lot of successful teams.
He's been hitting a little bit harder than I would have expected him to, coming behind Crown. Like, I feel like he's got something to prove. Be like, doesn't matter that you've won a championship. You're not playing well right now.
Yeah.
And so, no, Pobelter being the starter right now makes a lot more sense. And him showing up, just phenomenal.
Yeah. It's funny because usually, like, when I see a change like this with a player like Pobelter, I would, say, oh, well, it's the difference of veteran experience. But Crown's a fucking veteran, too. Now, being a native Korean speaker, I'm sure he can't offer as much to the team communication-wise as Pobelter does. And Pobelter also was on Liquid as a coach, technically. Like, he almost started the jungle, but his whole role was intended to be as a coach. And so I think he also got a bit more perspective, which hopefully he's bringing to the team. But he's just played consistently pretty well on a consistently not great team in the 2 weeks, the 4 games that he has played. I'm really curious to see where this CLG team goes going forward, because they do have Team Liquid next week, but they also have left on their slate Evil Geniuses, Dignitas, Golden Guardians, and 100 Thieves. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up another 2 wins.
Yeah, I think 2 wins is probably minimum.
Oh, you think minimum 2 wins?
I mean, if they continue to play a little bit more cohesively,
Right.
I see minimum 2 wins. If they come in next week, I don't know. Like, going against Team Liquid next week could be kind of like a little bit of a slap to the face.
They got Cloud9 the week after. So.
Yeah, so it's just like...
But I think if they pick up 2 wins, you end up 4-14. And considering where this team was, that's not a terrible finish. Like, that gives you some momentum, some hope, something to look at in the break between splits to work towards summer. And I think that's where this team really does need to focus. We already knew they were focusing on summer, and it looks like maybe they found something that can help them move forward.
Maybe, hopefully, I don't know. Somebody's got to be bottom of the barrel, and I'm glad it's not Golden Guardians, even though they're not that far behind.
Yeah, I mean, they're 3 games ahead yet, so could be a lot worse. And they're only 1 game out of 3rd place. Like, that's the thing. I love that LCS has been like forcing it, partly because I know Mark C kind of hates it. Mark C coined that there was the soup as the middle of the league, and they keep saying it, and now they're also like attributing it to him on purpose because they know he's like, okay, it's been played out. They're like, as Mark Z said, the soup, and like, and it's really great. But like that middle of the pack for the league is so tight that there's a lot of room for like movement up and down, and CLG, like, they're not going to hit that level, but Golden Guardians you just mentioned, they're not far out of it.
Yeah, I've been seeing Hanser look really good. I've been seeing Hanser look really bad. Like, some of these plays, I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And then 5 seconds later, be like, oh, God, what did you do that for? That was the most idiotic thing I've seen today.
Yep, I mean, they won on his Aatrox, and they lost on his Mordekaiser. And I don't know what to make of him. I still think he needs to be better on tanks. But at the same time, like, Mordekaiser is tankier than Aatrox.
I mean, Aatrox has the built-in survivability with his ultimate. Like, I mean,
Mordekaiser has it with his shield.
Nah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird.
Golden Guardians, yeah, like they've been kind of hit or miss, and a little bit more miss than hit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the games that they're playing well, they do look good. But then when, like, if you're losing to like Cloud9, FlyQuest, maybe TSM, depending on the week, like, I get some of those losses.
Right.
But when you're losing to like 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses, Immortals, like, I know Immortals is kind of hit or miss too right now. They're look a little bit more hit than miss, but like, yeah, they're painfully middle of the pack right now.
Yeah. All right, so let's do something where neither of us are prepared for, because I just thought of this.
Tinfoil hat time?
No. We've got 3 weeks left to go, so we're 6 weeks in. I'm not saying MVP, but is there a player who has stood out to you 6 weeks in for their contribution to their team, whether it be a team that's doing well or not? Because MVP, generally, you're assuming, like, okay, the team's doing well because of their thing. But, like, maybe it's it could even be a player who's, like, they're doing so much, but their team is just garbage. Is there a player that stood out to you that you think they're doing something good? And then also on the other side, let's do something like a player who seems to be holding their team back. Because I think I know who yours is for that one.
Maybe. So, not to be too cliche, but I'm going to pick a Cloud9 player.
That's fine.
And I've actually kind of got a tie because, like I said a little bit earlier, like, Sven and Vulcan, I poo-pooed on them so hardcore last year. Like, they played so mediocre last year, and then they come in this split on Cloud9. I was like, Cloud9's insane for picking up these, like, painfully mediocre players. And they've just delivered every single week.
They have. They've been ridiculous.
And so, yeah, like, players that I had written off. Because, like, Vulcan was on, was it Clutch?
Yeah, he was on the Clutch
squad.
And Cody Sun. Him and Cody Sun looked good, but it was a team that struggled until the very end of the season.
Yeah, like, they were kind of all over the place. Like, sometimes they look good. They look more bad than good sometimes.
Right.
Sven, like, he came with Midi a few years ago, and he did nothing but underperform in the U.S.
They went from best in the West to, like, TSM just tanking. It was crazy.
And so I was like, okay, so I mean, I'm going to probably blame TSM for just neutering all of their players, not just jungle. But no, I'm going to kind of give that both to Sven and Vulcan for being
All right.
very, very outstanding this split.
Yeah. Actually, in the spirit of you doing two, I'm going to throw two as well, because I'm a little torn between Closer on Golden Guardians, who has, I think, been the linchpin of that team overall.
Sure.
He's made good plays, because there's been times we've seen the top lane look a bit suspect, but it seems Closer's generally in the right place at the right time. He's helping that team float where they are. If the rest of the team can pull it together a bit more, I think they can definitely improve. FBI, because you look at the team, and it's FBI and Keith. It's Golden Glue in the middle, who's doing a good job, and Hanser in the top, and like you see that top and bottom, you're like, well, sometimes they're doing good, sometimes they aren't. I feel like Closer's the one part that's making that team keep well enough together that they're sitting at that 5-7 and they've got a shot at playoffs still. So I want to say that for Closer. And the other one, then I move over to FlyQuest and just, Ignar. Ignar in the bot lane has been incredible for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ignar should have been my choice, but...
Now, there's a lot of players who I think deserve it, because you could go with Broken Blade and TSM. Like, there's a lot of players who deserve it, but Ignar, for me... it's gone back now, I think, almost a full 3 splits, where I'm just like, FlyQuest needs a different support. They had, like, JJ. They had... They brought in, not Mickey. Was it Mickey? They brought in somebody with an M last year for a bit, and I was hoping that would turn out well, and it didn't. And it seems like they found it. They found that support that works with Turtle. Viper needs to step up a bit right now, but, like, with Santorin, Power of Evil, Wild Turtle, and Ignar, like, that's the reason FlyQuest is sitting at 8-4 above the soup.
Yeah.
So I give them a lot of credit. So do you have a player who's holding their team back, though?
Can I vote all of TSM?
All of TSM?
No,
I wouldn't vote Broken Blade or Dardoch, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with. I've got 2 for this as well.
Okay. I think I know what one is, and I'm okay with it.
I'll start with the one maybe you don't know. I'm gonna go for Double Lift.
No, that's the one I thought.
Okay. Then okay. Double Lift. He's just been looking so not here this split. Like, I don't know where he's at. He's kind of off in La La Land.
He's at the doctor getting his laryngitis treated.
Yes, laryngitis.
Those air quotes.
And then my other disappointment is still Afromoo.
Yeah, it's funny because overall he's looked pretty good, or pretty decent this split. Not good, but against Liquid, I very distinctly remember typing in Discord, what the hell was that ult move, as his Tahm Kench ulted into River solo behind 3 Liquid players, which I think he only had seen 2 of them, but still, why are you ulting solo behind, like, a damage dealer and a tank? You're a dead fish, bro. You are such a dead fish. And because there was 3, they killed him before anybody on 100 Thieves could, like, come in to put pressure. Like, that's what we saw from him last year, and he was doing it today, or just this past weekend. It was not great.
Yeah, he's probably the weakest link on Dignitas, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's made a couple good plays early in the split, but I feel like he has largely gone back to the very mediocre move that he has been these last handful of years.
Yeah, that was one I was considering picking myself. I'll go 2 as well. I'm going to start with the one I've got in mind. I'll figure out the other one real quick. Number 1's Viper on FlyQuest.
Sure.
He's a good player. We've seen him play well. And yet he's not been non-existent in some games, but he just hasn't had an important impact. Like, he's not feeding he's not going full tilt. It's just there's games where he gets put behind, and he doesn't seem to know how to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, Top can be an island sometimes. Like, he kind of just is off in his own little world, and he's just quietly losing.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for a team that overall has been doing pretty damn well. I think if he does a bit better, well, guess what? Then maybe this team is, instead of 2 games ahead of the pack, they're 3 games ahead of the pack. Like, maybe their only 2 losses are to Cloud9 if, they beat EG or TL, or both of them kind of thing. So, that I think if he can find a rhythm, like he's still offering value to the team because there's still Riven bans coming,
Sure.
but he needs to be offering value in that he can carry on Camille, or I would love to see like Sunfire Kled come out of him or something like that. I think he's a good enough mechanical player. He can make some really gross Kled plays. So,
Sure.
we'll see with that. And then my other one, I'm going to go ahead. Shoot, I had in mind. I'm actually going to throw another Dignitas player. I
Huni?
think... No, actually. Froggen. And I don't think Froggen is playing bad. So, like, this is a bit of a, I guess, twist on sort of the holding the team back. I don't feel like Froggen's playing poorly. I just feel like he's not bringing everything to the table he could. I know he has the skill and the knowledge to play the map better, and it's not that he's ever been I roam all over the place player. He's not that. He's a hard farmer. That's always been what he is. But I think he's good enough and smart enough that he can adapt a little and help this team out better. I would love to see him, even if he's on a Nivea or something, make some roams to the top and help Huni get ahead, or make roams to the bottom. Like, Johnson's very good on this team. Help him out.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm disappointed in Froggen that he's not adapting to the meta, the roaming mid-meta, as it were, better. Because I think if he did that, him and Grig could really make this team 2 games better than they currently are.
Certainly. He got to play a Nivea.
Against Cloud9.
Okay, that's true. But he still didn't look great doing it. Like, he played okay, but he was out of place a lot. Either that or Cloud9 just happened to always be deathballing everyone.
Cloud9 ended up about 5k ahead by the time he started getting caught. And that's like what Cloud9 does. They just like, even against like FlyQuest, like they lost a couple fights, but they're still taking shit other places. Dignitas, by the way, ruined Sven's KDA because they got the first kill on him. And now they've gotten first mid tower. So Dignitas' whole goal is to slightly chip away at Cloud9. If they make it into playoffs, they'll be looking to secure a Baron against Cloud9. Be like, yeah, motherfuckers, we got your one Baron too.
What's really disappointing me about Dignitas, and kind of a little bit how Froggen is playing right now, is that he's got Demonte sitting right behind him.
Yeah.
And Demonte was so on fire last split. Like, the fact that they haven't pulled Demonte out for a weekend, like, Dignitas' Academy team has been on fire. Like, they've lost, I think, 2 games, maybe 3.
And they played, like, some cheese-ass picks in their first loss.
Yeah, and so it's like, they've got Demonte sitting right behind Froggen. Like, he's got to be chomping or champing at the bit.
It turns out it's champing. I didn't know that until like a year ago.
I didn't.
Thanks, Reddit.
Oh, I can thank Mythic Quest. Mythic Quest, yeah. The new It's Always Sunny creator show.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
But yes, champing at the bits. He's trying really hard to take him over, and Froggen just looking so mediocre right now. I'm like, give him a chance.
Well, and after seeing Pobelter bring CLG up, I'm a little surprised some other teams not trying to snap, although I don't know who necessarily would. I think Jizuke's brought good and bad to EG. I think Golden Guardians is fine with Golden Glue, and I wouldn't move on that either. Maybe 100 Thieves, but I think 100 Thieves, the thing would be to pull in Demonte, put Ryoma on the... Don't get rid of Ryoma. Put him on the bench, give him better time to develop. Or Immortals to grab Demonte, and let... turns out it's Aka...
Yeah, I heard that this weekend.
Yeah, give Aka time to develop on the bench too. I think both those players have a lot of potential, but they need to be able to develop not getting their shit kicked in. And in Academy, with scrims with the main team, I think they can do that. Also, with a player like Demonte on the same team as them, I think that would help them too. So I think 100 Thieves or Immortals would be great teams to pick up Demonte and do something with, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't either.
Unless Froggen like shits the bed for a full week, which I don't see him doing. I mean, the dude got Player of the Week once. Like, he's a good freaking player. I just think he could be bringing more.
Yeah.
Like, he can't hard carry this team himself. He needs to find a way to help the rest of the team carry. the way Niski does, because I don't think Niski can hard carry Cloud9, but he can sure as hell help Blabber and Sven get ahead, and he does. Also, another note from Cloud9, their game against against Dignitas, that game is a masterclass in playing weak side from Licorice. Every little thing he did was the perfect play of, I'm going to give up this CS. I'm aware somebody might dive me, so I'm going to back off. Okay, I'm safe. Let me move back up, get XP. Like, constantly just being like, my goal is to not feed this lane. And he
was
did
into
it.
the Lucian. The Lucian, I don't know that was the strongest pick that Huni could have picked. I mean,
It's good into the melee Aatrox, though. And he abused him in lane early, which he did. Like, he got up like 10 CS within a wave and a half. It was gross.
He was only up like 20, 30 CS, and he was still behind.
Right, well, and the thing is, because, like I said, Licorice played it exactly. Like, go back, focus on top, and it's not that Huni wasn't playing things well, it's that Licorice gave him no opportunity to get more.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Because, I mean, we even saw ganks up there. Like, we saw Grid come up top, and Licorice is just like, no. And, like, it wasn't like he was getting a bunch of support out of Blabber. Like, Blabber would go up there and throw a ward or, like, check, camps, and then go straight back bot. He was not hovering top to
checking out and then just quietly walking away.
Yeah, Blabber was never hovering to protect, which is generally what you would expect in that sort of situation. Be like, okay, I'm here for the counter gank. Blabber just said, are you good? Licorice is like, yeah, I'll be fine. And he goes, cool, because I'm going to go gank bot and get them ahead. And he did that over and over, and it worked so well. So, if you are someone who plays top lane, watch that. If you're someone who struggles with how to not continue to feed or how to deal with repeated ganks, things like that, or just bad lanes, go watch it, because granted, being at a cohesive team level, it's a bit different where you can count on your team to, like, make use of that pressure that's coming up top and it's not elsewhere, but really, go watch that match, because Licorice does all the right things where it's like, I'm just not going to give up gold up here. I will lose some of my own gold, and he will get what he normally would.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you want to do and need to do. It was beautiful. It was really understated but fantastic, and that's the kind of thing I want to see out of a potentially, LCS championship team.
So, real quick, we should probably touch on Immortals, EG, and I think that kind of rounds us out. Do we have any...
Immortals fallen behind. I think EG's looking a bit better, Kumo's improving, but, like, Immortals... I think until Aka looks better, and until that bot lane can kind of put out a bit more, I think they've kind of capped out. And they swapped in Apollo for Altec, and I'm not super a fan of that. I don't think bot lane was the issue for them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Apollo's doing poorly, but I think Altec brings more to that team probably than Apollo does. I like both those players, to be fair. Like, I think they're both good middle of the road NA 80 carries. I think the issue's in mid lane.
I mean, I kind of want to place a little bit of blame on Jizuke. However, it is
for
his...
EG?
Yeah, but it is still his first split here. There is a little bit of some, learning pains. I think that he will be good, because I have seen some small bouts of brilliance from him.
Yeah.
And I think that just being here a little bit longer, I think next split he'll look a little bit better.
I think so as well, and I think EG's bot lane is still working on cohesion. I think that team as a whole just needs to communicate better. And we've seen that just from interviews that, they don't think together, and that's a problem. And I think Kumo's slowly improving, but like you said, Jizuke has some great moments, he has some poor moments, but then, Zazel and Bang in the bot lane, if those two could play together, we might get to see something good out of them. But right now, they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that... We kind of touch everything. We don't really have any big talking points. Anything I've missed? Anything we should bring up?
No, I think we pretty well went through it. Next week's going to be really telling, I think, because we've got TSM with Cloud9 and FlyQuest on the docket. If they plan on being a good team, they should try and pick up that win against FlyQuest. Team Liquid with CLG and Immortals, if they are as good as they pretended to be last week, they should win both of those.
Yeah.
And then you got the other teams kind of fighting for that 6th place. So 100 Thieves with Dignitas Immortals, Dignitas with 100 Thieves Golden Guardians with Dignitas Cloud9. That's a bit of a rough draw. And Immortals with 100 Thieves Team Liquid. Like, you need to go 1-1 at the least next week if you're those 4 teams and you want to be in playoffs. If you go 0-2 next week and you're one of those teams, I'm writing you off. The last 2 weeks is not going to be enough for you to get into 6th place because, I mean, those are the teams who are tied for 6th. I'm sorry, I gave Immortals schedule instead of Golden Guardians. They have Dig and Cloud9. But I think Immortals is going to drop into that tie. They're searching for that last slot. And one team is going to make it. I think right now we're looking at Cloud9, FlyQuest, Team Liquid, probably TSM, just even resting on their laurels is 4. And then I guess you're searching 2 teams between Immortals, Golden Guardians, Evil Geniuses, Dignitas, and 100 Thieves. And
that's hard.
And I don't have a lot of faith in EG in that one. So I guess like Immortals, Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, Dignitas, shooting 4 ways for a spot. And you gotta not fuck up. That's what it comes down to. You got 3 weeks to not fuck up. That's where I feel on these teams anyway.
Yeah, I wanted to touch base on TSM for just 1 second.
Absolutely.
I think they need this to be a feast weekend, and their lineups make it look like going to be a famine weekend.
Well, and the schedule's rough. They've got the top 2.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can be the first team to take down Cloud9, that's huge, just for a team morale perspective. But if you're talking like actual playoff spots, like you're looking at that FlyQuest game, you're like, okay, we're going to lose to Cloud9. We are prepping all week for FlyQuest, and we're going to try and keep our mental good despite whatever happens on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the teams that are doing well are going to keep doing well, and the teams that are doing bad are probably going to keep doing bad.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot of teams doing got a mixture of teams doing a lot. Or a lot of teams doing a mixture of those two, though. So
sure do, yeah.
I mean, 7 out of 10 teams are within a game of each other.
It's absurd. I'm gonna be so sad to see the Foldy sheet coming out of.
In week 9.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks. That Foldy sheet may end up a lot more obvious than we think it will be, but that also. If CLG wins more and Cloud9 loses more, that'll make the sheet a lot cleaner. But if those 2 teams keep doing what they've been doing, I don't think CLG will. I think they'll win another 2 before the season's over. Or the split's over, I should say. Cloud9... Let's one last take on the way out. Cloud9, where are the odds that they go 18-0 right now? Actually, let's just go. What do you think their final score line is? Or, win line?
I don't see them giving up.
I don't think they'll lose 2. I think they might lose to Liquid in the last game, or like one before that, like randomly.
Yeah, I see them losing at most 2, probably closer to 1.
I don't even see them losing 2. When I look at that out schedule, TSM, Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, CLG, EG, TL. TSM and TL are the only teams, and maybe GG on a good day, should be the only teams that can even remotely give them a test.
Yeah.
It's a matter of just how much fucked up shit they decide to play for funsies.
Yeah, so doing this well is kind of a double-edged sword because it's a little bit more of a mental, strain to continue to do really well.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, Cloud9's the meme team, and they're used to having a little bit more fun when they're playing.
They're far less memey this year. I think I said it early in the season. I think Sven, I thought he would be, and I think he has been good for this team to be as try-hard as he is and kind of be a bit of a dick to the rest of the team about it, too. I don't think he's... that's the wrong word. But being that kind of
old... Maybe a little more stern?
Yeah, it's stern. Stern's a good word. Because I've heard, a little bit of interviews and stuff they're in, VOD reviews and stuff, whereas maybe in the past it would have been oh, shit, that went bad. And Sven's just why'd you mess that up? You're better than that. Or to be why aren't you solo queuing right now? You're just fucking around. I think Sven, especially coming off what he's always been, really big into playing solo queue tons and super try hard. He always has been, but I think coming off what happened at TSM and wanting to repair his legacy, I think even more so he's been about that, and I think that's rubbing off on the rest of the team in a great way.
Yeah. I do like to see Sven rubbing off on the rest of his team.
Nailed it. All right. And on that one, I think no better time to call it. That has been Season 4, Episode 7 of League of Loggers. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And until next time, cheers.